Hey everyone, Isaac here, and I will be showing you how I make the shoulder piece's chest mount for my vessel cosplay. I got this from a cosplayer online, and before there were a couple of safety pins, and there's a small arm tie on it as well. It seems to do the job, however I do need a chest strap in order to keep it in place. So I'll be showing you the way I have made mine. I have never been able to find a video on this, so I figured I would show you the way I made mine. So let's get into the materials you will need, as well as some of the tools that will also be needed to make this work. So here are the materials that I need to make the chest piece. These are going to be the actual crafting materials, and I got this clip and strap kit on Amazon for pretty cheap. I would say around $8 or so on Prime if you have Prime. So the first thing are these clips here. These are going to be for clipping each end together. As you guys know, on the shoulder piece, there's the front and the back of the shoulder piece, so you're going to need those clips to strap them together to hold them in place. Next is this double-sided slider, and these play an absolutely huge factor in this idea, so make sure that these are in the kit and you have plenty of these. And the last thing is the nylon strap, obviously. I bought the 3/4 inch nylon, but use whatever width you want for yours. I'm a little bit of a smaller guy at around 155, 165 pounds, so the 3/4 will do just fine and not stretch out. Then you will need some crafting materials and also a few tools as well. First, I have a few different scissor options here. I prefer these small crafting scissors, but whatever works best for you. If you like the bigger scissors, that's fine. Since you're working with nylon, it tends to fray very easy, so you will need something to heat it up with once you cut it and do your thing with it. So this Bic lighter helps tremendously, and it won't burn you when you need to heat it up. So in order to open up the hole a little bit more, I like to use a Phillips screwdriver just to make sure the hole is opened up a little better and smoother. Also, you'll need a flathead screwdriver to tighten and loosen the screw on the back side of the shoulder piece. And those are all the materials that you're going to need for this to work out. So, first thing we are going to do here is measure the correct length for the piece that attaches to the actual shoulder piece. I have already done this to save length for the video. Once measured, take your small crafting scissors and cut across most of the way. Then switch sides and cut the remaining off. Also, make sure that you cut little bits of it at a time, seeing as both of these things will prevent unnecessary fraying. Now, take your Bic lighter and heat up the end until it seals up. You'll kind of see it get a little bit smoother when you fray it, when you do this. Flip it around and do the same on the other side. Now you have a nicely sealed piece of nylon that will not fray on your cuts. Next, take the double slider clip and feed one end through it until they are even on both ends. And that's basically how you create this part. Very simple. Alright, now you will take a nail that you have dedicated for this project, and this is going to help start your hole. So heat up the tip of the nail with your lighter. Then you take the one end of the nylon strap and poke through it with the nail. Make sure you don't go so far up so it won't have anything to hold on to. You need to make sure you have some room from the top of the nylon piece, so the rivet will hold on to something. Once that's through, take your little scissors, pull the nail out, and then stick one end of the scissors through to where the nail was at, so now you have your starting point. Then rotate the scissors to face down so you can cut down towards the large end of the nylon piece and cut a little slit in the nylon. I do this a little tiny bit at a time. Make sure that it'll go onto the rivet, then stick the scissors through all the way through, and then kind of rotate it around until you start seeing the nylon fray out. Then take it to the other side and repeat the process so it does it on both ends. I found that was a little bit easier. Then take your lighter, put the scissors back through one end, and then light it. And then what you do is you burn the nylon so it'll seal itself. And then rotate it around, do it on the same side until you get a proper seal. Also, if it really helps, you can also stick like a Phillips screwdriver through the hole instead of these scissors, so you get a little bit more of a rounded hole in there. You may need to repeat that until it's completely sealed. You'll probably have to do it a couple of times so it properly seals itself. As well, if you may need to cut the hole slightly bigger, just make sure you repeat that process. Do it a few times until everything is kosher and it won't fray back out. It's completely good. Then you take your shoulder piece and thread the nylon onto the rivet. If you have to, turn it to the back side and loosen the rivet with the screw on the inside of the shoulder piece. And a little bit of an advice, try to get the nylon started on like one little side of the rivet. Take your little scissors or your flathead, whichever one you prefer. I started with the scissors, but eventually went to the flathead later. Had a lot more play in order for me to be able to get it onto there and kind of help the nylon into the rivet. It won't fray the rivet, or it won't fray the nylon back out. You're just pressing it around to get it there. Then once you have that, tighten your screw once more until it's completely sealed up. Rotate it around, like and then you got to do it on the other piece. So you got to do it on both sides. You got to put two sides on one rivet, and then you do that with the other side as well. And then just rotate it around and make sure it can rotate freely. And then once that's it, and then once that's good, that's basically it. That's all you got to do. So now you have a wonderful, beautiful shoulder piece that is started to make the straps. This is just the area where you need to actually put the strap onto it, but this is your starting point, and this is the best starting point that I've found. So this is just part one of the video series, guys. Stay tuned for part 2.